And I'm loving life with friends. Doing my life with friends. Doing my life with friends. Doing my life with friends. I'm loving life with friends. Doing my life with friends. Doing my life with friends. Doing my life with friends. And I'm loving life with friends. Doing my life with friends. Doing my life with friends. Doing my life with friends. I'm loving life with friends.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Love and Life in season 2. The clowns are back. We're not clowns.
No, we're not. Very serious. Beautiful women.
The lovely ladies of Love and Life. Sis, can you believe it? It's season 2. We made it.
I know. God is good.
God is so good. Honestly, it's so good to be back. And yeah, we just want to first say thank you to everyone that has engaged with our content, everyone that's been a part of our journey so far. We are really, really grateful for the community that we are building here at Love and Life and just all the lessons that we get to share together. We get to grow together and we just love hearing and reading the comments. Like, we do have some very hilarious Love and Lifers. So we love the comments. We love it all. We thank you guys. And thank you for coming along with us to season 2. We're about to go again and we're very excited about this season as we just continue. Season? Wait, do you see? Okay, right, we'll get there. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're very excited about this season because we're just going to be going deeper into different aspects of friendship as we continue to grow together.
Yeah.
So this season, we're going to be talking about
seasons.
Yes, so we're going to be talking about seasons because I think that seasons is something that literally underpins all of our lives. So we do life as like, life is one thing.
Yeah.
And then in life, there's different seasons that we go through. And because our friendships are a constant, or are they actually? That's also a topic. But because friendships will follow us through those different seasons, we want to start to examine how do you navigate friendships through changing seasons? How do you gracefully carry your friendships across when you cross into a different season of life?
Yeah.
Or do you? Or should you? You know? So there's just so many nuances to it. Obviously, you guys already know Valentina.
Hey.
Also a very resident Love and Lifer. So yeah, grateful to have you here as always.
Happy to be here, sis.
I feel like they know you already, so
you don't need to excuse. I'm the girl who likes vegetables. Yes, that's me.
Yes, whose fridge is full of broccoli and
celery and kale.
And kale is
Amen.
Wonderful, and we love
coconut
her.
water.
Oh, Lord, wow. Yeah, we thank God for you, sister.
There's chocolate in there though, so I'm not.
There's
that bad.
chocolate.
Yeah, dark chocolate.
This one that's bitter.
Yeah,
I don't like dark chocolate.
Isn't it nice? Some people, it's really nice, guys. It's really rich.
Okay, we're happy for you. But
it's
yeah,
not by
Val
force,
is very healthy. It's very, very impressive. I aspire to. Yes. But back to seasons. We've actually had a few different seasons in our friendship. But before we get into that, when you think of seasons, what does that mean to you?
Okay, so as I like to do whenever we start off.
She's going to go in there.
This time I'm going to the scripture. So whenever I think of seasons, I think of this passage from the Bible. And this is Ecclesiastes 3 verses 1 to 8. And it says, "For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace."
Wow.
Hey,
Val, do you want to do this reading Bible things? Your voice is so soothing, honestly. Wow. Do they read that verse at weddings a lot? Or like, I feel like there's somewhere where in some context we have.
I think sometimes they do use it, but when I think of seasons, I just think this passage like summarizes it all, because it just touches on all the different things and aspects that we go through as people and as the world just changes. Like the world, if we mirror nature to a certain extent sometimes, in nature goes through its seasons, and so do we in terms of the different things we go through as well. So yeah.
Wow, no, that's good. I really liked that chapter. I'm gonna go. What version is that?
So this is the New Living Translation.
It's really good. So yeah, a time to dance, a time to cry, a time to just that. And that is what seasons are.
Yeah.
You know, they're just different. Because even in you saying that, it's profound, because when you think about how friendship intermingles with that, I've heard people who have shared situations where the friends were there in the time to dance, but they were nowhere to be found in the time to cry, right? And that becomes a thing of how do you navigate that, where you think, oh, these are my friends, they'll be there with me through everything, but suddenly you cross into a different season, the time to cry or whatever, and there's just no one there. Or, you know, and those things can be really difficult to navigate. So I guess jumping into just sharing, what's been your experience when you cast your mind back through your seasons and like your journey so far? How has friendship intermingled with your different seasons?
I'll be really transparent and say friendships has probably been one of the most challenging things I've had to navigate throughout my seasons. The reason is, one thing I'm grateful for is being sensitive. So I'm quite a sensitive person. I think I've been in denial about it most of my life. But in the last probably like 7 years, I've gotten really better at embracing that. But in that sensitivity, it's meant that when a season has changed, I've been quite aware of it. And I'm always quite willing, and I'm very willing to just jump into, okay, this is a new season. But even though in my sensitivity, I haven't always been wise in that, because when you enter a new season, many things have to change, and the grace in which you need to handle those changes requires a lot of discernment and a lot of wisdom. And where I haven't had that wisdom or discernment, it's often led to, especially it would be my friendships either suffering or having to be adjusted or breaking down, or me just not having friends in that season, like in that season of time. So for me, if I was to go back from the moment I turned 18, I was looking for a way to travel and leave the country. Not out of, I love my family so much, but I've just always had this like itch in me to, you know, to go out and explore and see what's out there and do great things and make a difference. And I think being that way has just meant that I was often in different places and different spaces. I'm always often meeting new people. But when you're consistently in that space, how do you maintain a friendship if you're never in the same place at the same time? Or how do you maintain a friendship if your interests keep on shifting, not because you're changing or you're fickle, but just because that's naturally how you're wired? Like, I love to learn. So because I love to learn, I'm always trying to learn something new. So that means I'm not always doing the same thing because I'm learning something new. But everybody's not the same. So where do you find your fellow quote unquote learners? And then also what you're trying to learn is not the same thing either. So for me, friendships has been challenging. It's been hard to have a solid group of friends who I know from when I was really, really small to this point. Like, there's a group of us. I will say there's still like, I have like individuals, but what's happened is instead of there being, you know, some people that you have your friends who you guys all went to maybe like primary school together, and you guys as that collective have grown up. Like, I don't have that. What I have is maybe like one person from that season. Then I have one person from secondary school, or one or two. Then I have one person from sixth form. Then one person from uni. Then another person from church at uni. And then when I started my first job, and then maybe it's only in adulthood now, I've been able to get people who solidly, you know, like 10, 12 years strong now, we've been solid. And then I got, of course, my family, who I also consider as my friends, like my sisters are my best friends as well. But yeah, it's been interesting. It's been really challenging. But I thank God for grace and wisdom and for who he sent in those different seasons to be friendly to me. And also the lessons I've had to learn in the people I've had to let go as well in the process too. So yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And it's interesting because I do remember when I first met you, one of the things I found that really endeared me to you, you just had this ability to be in any room and just like blend in with everybody. So when we became friends and I realized you're actually an introvert, I didn't understand it because like when I met you, I feel like you were extroverting at its best. Like, and obviously over time, I've got to learn that you can switch it when you need to. You can be that person. And I think it's not even more of like extroversion. It's just because you listen a lot. So you can almost carry on conversation with anybody because you just listen to something they say. And because you learn a lot, you almost always have something to say in response because you just be like, oh yeah, funny. I was reading about that the other day. And that's very you. So it's interesting to see how that then interplays with your seasons with friendship and how that doesn't necessarily translate into because I can talk to anybody now, everybody's my friend. And this is a conversation we've had as well about those different layers of like the friendships and the acquaintances and things like that. So yeah, that's great. But still staying on that season thing, you know, some good friends of mine were having this conversation about how should we even consider friendships as seasonal or like should friendships just by nature just be, and one of those friends is in this room that we had the conversation, smiling behind the camera. But it's like, yeah, should we consider friendships as that, you know, it could be seasonal or is it something that we should think of as just a lifelong thing? And how do we start to understand where it falls?
I'd say the discretion of that is fully under the Holy Spirit. I think there's some people you meet who, so like I said, I do have some friends who I've known since, you know, we were in reception and I would still consider them a friend. But I just know it's not all of us as a group are friends and will be my lifelong friends either. And also but what I would say is I think you can have friends for a lifetime, but then how they show up for you and also how you show up for them will vary across the seasons. But then there also are some friends for a season. Maybe you wouldn't fully go to the extent of calling them a friend. But I do think there are those, but it is really dependent on you as a person and where God is calling you to and what your purpose is. If you're someone like me who's called to go to many places and experience loads of things and learn many things, then you will have friends for a season. Because if I'm living in China and then I've come back to the UK and then I'm going to Finland, for example, the friends who I had while I was in China, as wonderful and exciting and amazing as that was, I now don't live there. I'm in a completely different time zone. I'm surrounded by a completely different language as well because I'm back to English. So maintaining that relationship, it's going to take something very purposeful for that to be maintained. But sometimes that it doesn't like go the distance, even though it would be lovely. And it's of no one's fault. It's just naturally the way life is evolving. And I think we always have a responsibility to be very present. Right. I think it's easy to get carried away and think of, oh, you're there and what's happening there. And also social media, I think also doesn't help because we have access to so much. We sometimes feel like we need to be engaged in a lot, but we actually lose a lot of the blessings and goodness and greatness that is right in front of us and being present in it and even praying into that as well. And I think friendships there's a huge power in embracing our friendships, which are in the present surroundings around us as and when we can as well. So I think you can have friends for life, but I think you can have friends for seasons. I don't think it's like one or the other. Yeah. But I do think it's very dependent on the person as well and where you're called and how you move and stuff like that.
No, that's really good. I imagine somebody's thinking, why is this important? Why do we need to know? Like, see, can I just not be doing vibes? Like, what's the importance of this conversation? Let's be real. Like, why do you need to know? Like, oh, I'm in this season, so now maybe I need to readjust or reevaluate. Why is this important?
Because whenever you do something which is not in season, it's usually a negative disruption. So a case in point is if you refer to nature. If I was a flower and I decided, oh, I'm going to grow in winter because, you know, I was growing all of summer and I managed to get through autumn, so I'm just going to continue in winter. I just want to bloom. And then in the winter, the snow is hitting you, the blizzard is slapping your face, the wind is trying to throw you away, the rain and the sleet is just pouring, chucking down. Your petals can't handle the weight of that. Like there's no nutrients anywhere to feed the soil to make you thrive in the fullness. So a flower knows I'm not going to bother trying to bud in winter, because if I do, by the time I try and bud, I'm just going to be clipped or killed away in an instant. And that's exactly what translates to if you have a place or a person or even activities that you're doing which is out of season, and it will just manifest itself in a different way. So of course, because we're people, we're not plants, we can get through, all the seasons. But if you're in a place that you're no longer meant to be, sometimes you'll be wondering, why am I so frustrated? Why am I so heartbroken? Why am I so downtrodden? Why am I depressed?
Ooh.
Why am I at the end of myself? Why am I burnt out? Why is this person not understanding me? Why can't I understand them? Why are things just not coming together? Why won't things just change and adjust? Like, why? And it's just this accumulation of frustration. And you're wondering to yourself, why am I so frustrated? And it's because you're in a place that you're not meant to be. Wow. It may be because you've outgrown it. It may be because what you started has finished. You started that program, or you started that initiative. It's the end of the initiative now. So what else is there? And sometimes that happens with friends, unfortunately. And it doesn't have to end in a negative way, but it's just naturally, it's like we say all the time, we grow apart. What does that mean to grow apart? It literally just means you grow up. And as you've grown up, what your focus and your priorities are now this. And then for another person, it's that. And there's nothing bad about that, but this and that are not the same thing. So if this and that are not the same thing, it means you two as people can't be to each other what you once were, because both of your eyes are in completely different directions. So, and that's why it's important to know what seasons you're in, because you won't even know that you're constraining yourself by still trying to revive a season that's past. And you'll be so frustrated. And I've done it myself. I've been like to God, like I'm really been praying for this and this and this and and I'm praying. And it's like, what got you here won't get you there. You're still trying to do things that were meant to be done in this season, or in this season that you did in that season. Things aren't going to change because you're doing things the wrong way. When Joseph, as we were talking about before we turned the cameras on, when Joseph was getting ready for the famine, and then it came to the time of the famine, he wasn't doing the same thing. During the years of plenty, he was collecting, he was saving. They would set up storehouses. They did all their preparations. In the time of famine, he's not stocking up storehouses.
Now they're dispensing.
They're going out, they're sharing, they're selling, they're coming up with different ways and maneuvers and solutions, completely distinctively different than this from the 7 years of abundance. So we need to be aware of that and act accordingly. Because if you don't, you will be left behind. And the ways in which you're left behind, unfortunately, aren't always pleasant. And just depending what the situation is, that will be the resulting severity of that as well.
Wow. Okay. You know what? That's profound. And I'm so grateful you used the Joseph example and exactly in the way you did it, because if we put that into like relational context, there are certain seasons where you feel very rich in terms of all the love you have to give.
Yeah.
So like when you were saying about that whole, I'm like, I'm feeling good. I've got it. Like I can love everybody. You get some love. But then there are seasons where maybe because there's a lot of demand on you from maybe it's work, maybe it's other responsibilities, you might not feel as capable of literally just showing up for everybody and being the you that you want to be.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's okay. You need to respond to that and take the time to work through it, process it, introspect, pray. And then when you come back out, you'll be better for it.
Exactly.
Again, that's something you do very well. Let me tell you about yourself. Sit down, let me tell you something. I'm joking. But you do this thing where occasionally, well, you're off social media at the moment, but you gave me so much heads up, like it was like a week or more before. So this is what Val will do. She'll be like, so, sis, I'm sensing a season of, hibernation. Like I'm sensing that, God is just pulling me back. So yeah, if you don't hear from me or if you don't see me, just know that. And, I respect that so much. I think it takes a lot to be able to study. Like, there's that verse in the Bible that says, study to show yourself approved.
Amen.
Yeah, study the word, but also study your seasons, study patterns, like with God, with friends. And that's how you build relational intelligence. That's how you build emotional intelligence. It's that ability to observe. And like you say, it saves you a lot of frustration when you do things in the right season because you're aware of the season rather than trying to like go hard at something that it's just not the time for it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, honestly. I remember even when I was touring with the Kingdom Choir, and my friend Charlene, she always teases me about this. We'd be like, so after a show, usually afterwards, everyone's like, oh, let's like stay up, play games. So we all would be like in the hotel lobby or somewhere, anywhere we could find. Some of us would be playing cards or have like a TV and we're playing Connect 4, whatever games you can find in the hotel, we're playing and all that kind of stuff. While everybody's playing, I'm sitting there, but I'm not paying attention to anyone. I'm literally just either like looking at a book or like watching what's on the screen while everybody's like screaming at each other saying, blackjack, blackjack. Like they're all hype, everything's. And I remember when we were on tour, she'd always every so often come to me be like, Val, I just love how you just remove yourself. Like you could even be in the room, but you'll just be like, and just kind of send to yourself. Or they'll all be like, oh, we're going to go here and go shopping and da-da-da. And I'll be like, yeah, I'm not going. And she was just so fascinated about it. And I'll be honest, it took a while for me to get to that place where I was confident enough to know actually I need to step away from everybody and everything. Because in the past I wouldn't. I would just stay there. And then later on I'd be really frustrated or feel incredibly overstimulated and be like, oh, I'm just so and I don't know why. And it's because I wasn't doing what I knew I needed because I was trying to please people. So as a recovering people pleaser, we thank God for the recovery. I was able to honestly just ask God to give me the courage to do what I need to do. And ultimately by doing what I need to do, I can always be the best version of myself for everyone else. That's the thing we often miss. We say, oh, we got to love other people and we've got to serve them. But what cup are you serving or are you pouring into them from? Like what capacity do you have to help other people when you're at your wit's end? It doesn't help.
I would say you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
There's nothing to pour.
Yeah.
It's empty.
Literally.
Yeah, so that's great. Like just looking after yourself and but there's a line to be drawn, right? Because ultimately friendship is about engagement and showing up and interaction. So how do you balance that need to sometimes pull away with the consistency of also just being there for your friends and being able to, show up and be there? Because it could be a thin line because it can't be every day. I'm just pulling away. I'm like, so when, my dear, when are you here, please? When can I talk to my friend? So obviously I celebrate that with you and I encourage it and I champion it. But I feel like we've had time to grow and learn in that. So it'll be a bit interesting if you're just building this friendship and then they just disappear. You're like,
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, where's the balance?
So one, this is a lesson I had to learn, and I think one of my friends was really good at like calling me out and just saying, Val, it's kind of like you disappeared, and I realized because I know I need to do that, my communication had to step up again. Right. So there's no way I can be withdrawing whenever I need to without communicating to my friends, especially if you're a friend to me. So just the case in point, I'm in a period of somewhat hibernation at the moment, but I told you beforehand. So if you're a friend to me, I will let you know if I can sense that's coming, or I'm like going to be thrown into it. I will say, oh, I'm going to be off socials, or I may not be out as much. I tell my friends this because I realize it's so powerful when you affirm your friends and who they are to you and how much they mean to you. Right. And what that conversation lets me do is say, you're my friend, I love you and I appreciate you. And I want you to know I'm always here for you. And vice in the same way, I see that you're there for me. In this period, I need to pull back a bit. And it's not directly because of you. You have done nothing wrong in this. I just know I need time to be refilled with God. There's been a lot of distraction either through life as a whole. And I know once I finish this time, I'll be back to like my fullest, brightest, best, healthiest self for you. In that season, even though I may have pulled away, quote unquote, I am still available to you because we are friends. If you need me, as in like, if you need me, something's happening, if you call me, I'll be there for you. If yeah, whether it's extreme or little, I'll be there. If you want to speak to me, if you call me, I'll pick up or I'll call you back if I miss it. If you voice note me, I'll voice note you back. If you message me, I'll message you back. It may not be as instant as usual, but you will get a response from me because I consider you as my person. So I'm very apparent about that. But part of why I also communicate is so that my friends, when you are seeking me out, you're also conscious of the season I'm in. So if it's not something as, if it's something that's maybe a bit silly, maybe a meme or something we would do, then maybe you'll be like, okay, well, I know Val's in a bit of a, hibernation season at the moment. So maybe this meme might be a bit distracting to her. So I don't need to share it. So I'm also telling my friends so that for stuff like that, you maybe won't share it with me. Not because you don't want to and it wouldn't be funny, but because I'm in a more of a reflective season. That's what I'm kind of trying to shut out in this season. But anything else, like we still speak and for instance, right now we still speak and chat and it's not a problem. And I've had other friends as well, similarly as well. They're like, oh, can I still call you? I'm like, yeah, you still can call me. I just mean, but we are so inundated with so much all the time. I don't know how some people do it, but I know it's a lot, which is why these periods, and they never last very long. I think they're usually about a month and then and maybe it literally sometimes I've just come off Instagram, but everything else I'm still around. So yeah.
That's, I think what I like about what you said the most is that there can also be the aspect of even helping your friends and observing their seasons, because I guess it's just a little encouragement there when you notice that a friend is maybe slightly getting overwhelmed by a situation, and this is where we start to like pay attention to our friends as well, because I think with friendship, many times human beings are innately selfish, right? So many times you're thinking about yourself and how this friendship pertains to me, but also like observing for your friend and being able to gently usher them into, I think you need a break. Like maybe you should, but that comes with time. And we're going to get into more practical ways that people can start to celebrate seasons, embrace seasons, and grow through seasons. So we will continue in our next episode. See you there. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching. We hope to see you next time. Do remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. See you.